Hi, everybody. I'm Austin Eartham. Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I'm here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing my stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to episode 107. Happy to be here with you guys. Got a good episode for you guys today. I'm honestly going to shorten it down a little bit because we are using a new recording platform. And I have only played around with it for a little bit, and I want to make sure that it uploads correctly. So we got video and audio going at the same time. Uh, and we'll see if we're able to edit that and kind of go from there, learn how I can dice some things up a little bit and get it on YouTube, as well as cut videos for uh, Instagram, all that good stuff, and make sure that I'm doing it right so I don't waste going multiple episodes without learning that it's working. Just bear with me here. That's some news this week. Also got a lot of sports psychology stuff that we are going to hit on. Not this week because I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to push it to next week. Things I've learned, things I've read about, things in discussion and for the works. So happy to share that with you guys and hopefully get you guys 1% better today. Anyways, quote that I heard last week is actually from Travis Kelce. This is previous to the Super Bowl. We just haven't gotten into it yet. One thing that he said is you're either a fountain or a drain. And so I think that's super cool because you're either going to build people up or you're going to take people's energy levels down. And everybody's talking how he always has a ton of energy. You could see he was fired up at the Super Bowl. So it's cool to see his personality come out and be his best version of himself. And then I saw another quote that said to flow like water. And we were watching a video actually in school. And I thought about this as we were watching Yellowstone rivers flow because of wolves. That's another story. But I was thinking how a lot of times water can go through everything, right? It can go over rocks. It can go down a waterfall. It can push through a dam, flow like water, freely go with weave wherever life takes you, take the punches and keep going forward. And I really like that quote because it shows resiliency, courage and perseverance, and a lot of grit, back to what we talked about last week. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that's something we can all relate to because remember in life, you're either in a struggle, just getting out of a struggle, or about to be in a struggle. And if you can see the positive, have optimism in that, more than likely going to come out a little better than you would if you hadn't. So that was a good quote. Where I saw God this past week, my wife and I finished up The Chosen season 3. I don't know if season 4 has been out yet or not, but we focused on season 3. And at the end, my favorite scene in all religion, gospels, whatever you want to, Bible, whatever you want to talk about or categorize it as, came up, and that's when Peter's on the water, and all the boys are on the water, and they're trying to basically think. They're trying to fish and it's stormy and they're not getting anything and they want to go back in. And then Jesus appears to be walking on water. And Peter says, or Simon, Simon Peter says that it can't be Jesus. And then Jesus says it is him. And he's like, if it's truly you, tell me to come walk to you and I'll believe because you are the Messiah, all that kind of stuff. And he says, Peter, come to me. And he does. And he's able to walk on water too. And it's very powerful because even kind of his right-hand man, Jesus' right-hand man had doubt. And then Jesus says, I have plans for you, Simon. Just keep your eyes on me. And I think that we can relate to that in life because a lot of times we have up and down days. I'll talk about that in a minute. And do we see the light at the end of the tunnel? Do we still make the right decisions even though we're angry or emotionally unstable for what happened that day or week, month, year? And can we continuously make decisions based on what Jesus would want us to do, and knowing that we're still human and we're going to make mistakes, but ultimately going down I always call it the GPS kind of path in your phone. It tells you where to go. All you got to do is execute and follow it, and that's what Jesus has laid out for us. And it's up to us to make those decisions in order to become closer to Him and grow a relationship with Him. Back to the whole purpose thing to also help reach our purpose. That leads me into some of the things I learned this week. I'm recording this a little bit early. Rough early part of the week. Just nothing seemed to go right. Investments seemed to go bad here. House thing. This bill came up here. Something happened with the dog. My timing, everything. My schedule just got kind of thrown off, and I was tired, and workout didn't go well, and it was just a lot of, I feel like, down, and We never went back up. So I told myself, I said out loud, okay, today's a bad day. Get over it. Do the best you can with what is left. Go to bed. Tomorrow's a new day. Solve tomorrow's problems tomorrow, not trying to solve future problems today. There'll be plenty more problems in the future. So I had to just take a moment and reset. And that's one of the big things in sports psychology. One of the things I learned this week is the biggest thing is managing setbacks in order to help yourself grow forward, is to learn how to manage those stressful situations. Yes, you got to have balance in your life. You got to have a little bit of everything. Some research I've been reading says, but the biggest thing is you got to have resiliency towards setbacks and know how to overcome those. And the first thing you have to do in order to overcome those setbacks is to realize, hey, this is the problem. This is what's going on. So that way you can flip the language. Hey, I know that this is a problem. Today's been a bad day. Here's what I can do tomorrow to fix it. Here's my problem. I'm going to do that at that time. And then being okay with, hey, I need to rest today, move on. Today's not my day, and then come back to it tomorrow. And I'm not a very patient person, so sometimes that's a challenge for me. But it seemed to help me earlier this week because it was not a good couple of days. Just things didn't happen to go my way. Second thing I learned is just talking about the Super Bowl. I know this was a couple weeks ago now, a little behind on what I want to talk about. So the Super Bowl is so high and so low of emotions, but just think of all the work that goes into it. And I think that's why it's such a big thing. Learning about marketing things and Usher and his performance, and Travis Kelce yelling at Andy Reid, but then their friends on the sideline afterwards, and people saying Shanahan can't win it or Brock Purdy's not good enough. There's all this outside noise, but the bottom line is, if you get an opportunity, you need to do your best. You need to take it, and you need to enjoy the heck out of it, because there's truly some crazy things that can happen. I think the betting line for a 55-yard field goal was like plus 900, and there was two of them. Right? So you never know what's going to happen, but enjoy the moment, because it's really hard to get to the so-called tippy top of the mountain. But the bottom line is the mountain doesn't happen overnight. The mountain happens a long time. It starts in April. Then you go to mini camp in May, OTAs in June, training camp July and August, September, start of the season, all the way through Thanksgiving, Christmas, playoffs in January, and Super Bowl first weekend in February, or second weekend in February. So it's a long season, and you got to find those things that you can have joy each day in. And I think that the great ones will continue to grind and know the process of when to peak and when to do well. The Chiefs never panicked. Patrick Mahomes has a lot of confidence in himself and in the team. Same with Andy Reid. Travis Kelce kept saying the pieces are right. Harrison Butker came up big. Defense came up big. I think there's a lot of haters because the Chiefs are so good. But if you look at the body of work and the stats and just the on-field play that the Chiefs have accomplished these past 2.5 years to really 5 years, it's been astounding. And I think that's something that's crazy. I was with the Chiefs in 2019 for minicamp, which I didn't expect to be signed because Harrison Butker was there. But it's crazy that would I have made those kicks that Harrison Butker has? Probably not all of them, in all honesty. So I know that I'm on the right path now. And two, if it was just a even swap, think about how my life would be different today. It's crazy to think about, but life's really a game of inches, and if you're willing to take it or not, the risk, non-risk, and see where you end up. And that's where we go back to the first point of God saying to Simon Peter, "Hey, I have plans for you. Keep your eyes on me. Follow me." So I know I'm in my right path. Speaking of that, I think that it's interesting. Speaking of paths, that coaching. One thing I learned in sports psychology is we don't coach sometimes to our players, and we should more often. For instance, I learned about task versus social cohesion. So social cohesion is where everybody needs to feel a part of the group, close knit, hang out, all that kind of stuff. Whereas task cohesion is, this is our job, here's our goal, here's what we're there to do. And I think great teams have both. For instance, Kansas City Chiefs, I think, have both. But males are more likely to do task cohesion because they want to get to the end result and then move on. They can live with their disagreements and other things of that nature, versus females want to be more of, oh yeah, I like you, we're buddy, and less about, hey, it's not as big a deal if we win whatever the championship is. But it's more, they will do better if they have that social cohesion. Males will do better if they have the task cohesion. Then if you have both, you have great leaders. Definition at Harvard Business School of leadership is to, it shouldn't be an outlier to help your team get better, to do the extra things, to voice your opinion, to stay late, go early, all that kind of stuff. It should be part of the culture of the group, and that's what makes teams great over time. So I think for coaches, take Chiefs coaches, for instance, they let them players be themselves, and they create that cohesion of both task and social cohesion. And afterwards, obviously, had a great Super Bowl party and parade here this last week, and can celebrate what they've accomplished together. The other thing I learned this week is I wrote down reflect. So we talked about that last week a little bit with some questions. I should write a book on reflection because I think that's one of my strong points. But what I learned this week is somebody said it. I don't remember. I think it was on a podcast actually. And oh yeah, it was a podcast. It was CrossFit one. Anyways, doesn't matter. And they said, why do you do CrossFit? What's the point of trying to compete at the CrossFit Games? And then the person kind of hesitated a second, and then I was thinking about it, and they ended up saying because they love to do it. And I think that should be our answer for almost everything, because then they compared it to, okay, well, hypothetically, why do you get up in the morning? Oh, because I got to, right? Yes, you get to. So we should be thinking about, what's the point of getting up? Joy, because I love to live life. What's the point of going to work? Because I enjoy my job. What's the point of going to work out? Because I enjoy working out, feeling fit, feeling the way I do, and pushing my body to be the best. If you can't put joy behind why you do something, you do it just for money, you do it just for fame, then it's not the right thing for you. And that's something I struggle with a lot. Because I think money makes life a lot easier. And I think fame gets you to know people. And I think knowing people is important in this society, and put it on media, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, if you don't enjoy it, then what's the point of doing it? Because it's going to be very hard to have that trade-off and be able to sustain that intrinsic, the internal motivation that long. So if your answer to the question of what's the point of blank is not joy, then I think you should reconsider what you're doing and why you're doing it. Let me see here. The other things I wrote down. Going with purpose then is, I think some of the reason I struggle with that, with my purpose post sports, not making the Kansas City roster, and kind of thinking, is this my joy, is that I don't have as much control. The only thing I really have control over is if I work out, I play sports, because that's all on me. I mean, yes, people help you, but it's on me, versus teaching, coaching, doing psychology sessions. That's great to help people, but it's not on you. You can guide them, but theoretically, it's up to them to do it. It's their choice. I think that's something that's very hard to wrap my head around, knowing that I don't directly have an impact or control of it. So that's something I'm working through in order to help find that purpose, and knowing where my eyes are supposed to be for Jesus. Where is this supposed to land me to? And that's a great reflection point that I think I had this week that I wanted to share with you guys. Other than that, I think I'm going to stop there for now and see. I'm going to write down right there where we're at, and we'll get into some of the sports psychology stuff next week. But ultimately, I want to thank our sponsor at the end, Vitargo, keeping us energized and get the best sports drink out there for carbohydrates. Gain 30% more muscle if you use that with protein, FYI. And then Cole's Kicking, appreciate them, all the support. Really wouldn't be in the spot I am without them, both psychology-wise and kicking-wise. Appreciate them, and as well as my parents, Eartham Healthcare Services, for supporting my endeavors. And lastly, Spotify for podcasters, Spotify in general. Appreciate you guys, because literally, like I always say, couldn't do without you. So on that note, we're going to end here, and basically right at 1440. So hope you guys like this episode. Let me know what you thought, and we'll move on and see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.